Moments later, she saw a man dressed in black, wearing a mask, walk past her bedroom door. Terrified, Dylan locked her door and stayed in her room. Around 4:30 a.m., she texted her friend Bethany Funke and ran to Bethany's room in the basement. The two locked themselves in for the rest of the night. By noon, when their housemates didn't answer their phones, the two desperate girls called two friends, Johnson and Emily Alandt, who lived nearby, asking them to check the house because they were too scared. When Dylan called, I didn't think it was urgent, so I walked over. When I arrived, Dylan and Bethany were already outside. They looked terrified, holding their hands to their mouths as if to say, "I don't know what's happening," Emily recalled. A horrific scene. Johnson bravely went up the stairs to the second floor. There he found the blood-soaked bodies of Ethan Chapin and his girlfriend, Shauna Kernodle, both 20 years old. To protect the others, Hunter quickly led them out of the house and urged them to call 911 at around 11:58 a.m. When police arrived, they discovered 4 victims had been killed. The other 2 were Madison Morgan and Kaylee Goncalves, both 21 years old. All 4 were University of Idaho students renting the house at 1122 King Road, just off campus. Dylan later told a friend she didn't call 911 immediately after seeing the masked man because she was drunk and didn't want to believe what was happening. The last photo of the victims, taken just hours before the murders: Madison Morgan, top; Kaylee Goncalves, second from the left; Ethan Chapin, Shauna Kernodle, second from the right; and the 2 survivors, Dylan Mortensen, far left, and Bethany Funke. According to police, the killer used extreme force in the attack. Autopsy results revealed Shauna had over 50 stab wounds, many defensive, with fatal injuries to her lungs and heart. Kaylee's face was unrecognizable due to severe damage, with over 30 stab wounds. The murder weapon was a sharp, single-edged knife. A knife sheath was found next to Madison's body.
Capturing the Criminology PhD student.
The brutal murder of the 4 University of Idaho students shocked the nation, spreading panic through the small, peaceful town of Moscow, Idaho. Soon after, police announced they were looking for a white Hyundai Elantra seen driving past the house twice on the day of the murders, once before the attack and again around 9 a.m. that morning. Weeks passed with no arrests or named suspects, fueling speculation. Facebook groups with hundreds of thousands of members buzzed with questions and theories about what had happened. After hundreds of interviews and thousands of leads, police zeroed in on Brian Kohberger, a 28-year-old PhD student in criminology at Washington State University, WSU, living just a 15-minute drive from the crime scene. In mid-December 2022, authorities tracked Kohberger to his parents' home in Pennsylvania, where he had gone for the holidays after his first semester at WSU. He was arrested on December 30, 2022, and extradited to Idaho days later. During his first interrogation, when asked if he had heard about the murder of the 4 students, Kohberger replied, "Of course, as WSU had sent out an alert about the case." Obsession with serial killers. To those who knew him, Kohberger's arrest wasn't entirely surprising. Before WSU, he studied forensic psychology at a university in Pennsylvania. He was described as lonely, eccentric, and smart but robotic, lacking normal social skills. Kohberger had a history of issues with women. Conflicts with students even led to his dismissal from a teaching assistant position just days before his arrest. Classmates recalled him as a top student but obsessed with infamous serial killers like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. His academic focus allowed him to delve deeply into the minds and motives of murderers without raising suspicion. A teaching assistant who worked with Kohberger at WSU noticed scratch marks, like from fingernails, on his face around the time of the murders. Kohberger claimed they were from a car accident, evidence that unraveled the perfect crime. According to prosecutors, Kohberger's criminology expertise, including a detailed paper on crime scene processing for his PhD, gave him the knowledge to attempt a perfect crime. However, he made critical mistakes. Investigators pieced together a timeline of November 13, 2022. Around 4 a.m., Koberger entered the house at 1122 King Road through a sliding kitchen door at the back. He went to the third floor, where he stabbed Madison and Kaylee to death. He then descended to the second floor, encountering Shauna, who had just received a DoorDash order, and killed her. Ethan, sleeping in Xana's room, was also murdered. Phone records showed Koberger's phone connected to a cell tower near the house 23 times between July and November 2022, often late at night. On November 13th, his phone was turned off from 2:47 a.m. to 4:48 a.m., coinciding with the murders. When it powered back on, it showed him returning to his apartment in Pullman, Washington. Additional evidence included DNA on the knife sheath. A Ka-Bar knife sheath found on the bed next to Madison had male DNA, later matched to Koberger through genetic genealogy and confirmed with DNA from trash at his parents' home. Hyundai Elantra. Security footage captured a white Hyundai Elantra near the house, later linked to Koberger via vehicle registration at WSU. Prior behavior. Koberger purchased a Ka-Bar knife and sheath on Amazon 8 months before the murders. His apartment and car were described as unusually clean, suggesting an attempt to destroy evidence. Legal proceedings and outcome. Koberger was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary, entering with intent to commit a felony. Prosecutors initially sought the death penalty due to the crime's brutality. For over 30 months, Koberger and his attorney, Ann Taylor, maintained his innocence. However, on July 2, 2025, he unexpectedly pleaded guilty to all charges in a plea deal to avoid execution. The deal included 4 consecutive life sentences without parole and a 10-year sentence for burglary. On July 23, 2025, Judge Stephen Hippler sentenced Koberger to 4 life terms, a $50,000 fine, and $5,000 in civil restitution per victim. Koberger declined to speak at the sentencing, leaving his motives unclear. Unanswered questions. Despite the conviction, key questions remain. Motive. Prosecutors admitted there's no evidence Koberger intended to kill all 4 victims initially, and his motive remains a mystery. A book by James Patterson and Vicky Ward, The Idaho 4, An American Tragedy, suggests he may have targeted Madison Morgan due to a romantic rejection, but this is unconfirmed. Why were the survivors spared? It's unclear why Dylan and Bethany were not attacked. Theories suggest Koberger may have been exhausted or felt he had stayed too long. The murder weapon, the knife itself, was never found, though the sheath was a critical piece of evidence, impact and legacy. The case left a lasting scar on Moscow and the victims' families. Dylan Mortensen said the event shattered her trust in the world, causing ongoing panic and anxiety. The house at 1122 King Road was demolished on December 28, 2023, despite objections from Kelly's family, as the University of Idaho deemed it a source of trauma. The case sparked debates about privacy, media influence, and public pressure in high-profile cases. Judge Hippler received numerous messages and calls from the public trying to sway his decision, which he called inappropriate. The Brian Koberger case is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in even the most educated and seemingly normal individuals. While justice has been served, the mystery of his motives and the full details of that fateful night may never be fully resolved.